So, chances are you've heard of The Legend of Zelda. Yeah, you know, the game that started all on the NES. And I recently finished it, but not the NES version. Nope, I finished the Super Nintendo version, which I just now realizing doesn't even have the 9th dungeon. So, you know what? Screw that, because I'm not playing the game over again. I can just hear you gasping and probably thinking right now, there is a SNES Zelda 1. And yes, there is. It's under the title BS Zelda. Chances are you've never heard of it because it was made in Japan and only released in Japan, but I don't want to go too crazy explaining this SNES port, and that's not what today's video is about. Today I'm going to go down my ranking for the bosses in BS Zelda specifically. I'm going to be basing them off of the third class version of BS Zelda though, because that's the one I played. Not sure if there are any differences, but it seems to be harder than the other ones. So without further ado, let's rank these bosses. 12, Goma. Okay, so, yeah, I'm gonna say this right now. This boss is a complete joke. In BS Zelda, which is what I'm basing this off of, Goma takes one hit to the eye with a single arrow, then it's dead. And it shoots so very little fireballs at a time, it is so easy to avoid it. For the 6th dungeon, this is just so bad at this point, and it just seems funny. 11, the Dodongo. It's similar to the one on Ocarina of Time, except for the fact that all you have to do is walk in front of it when its head is facing you, and then put a bomb in its mouth 3 times. Compared to the one on Ocarina of Time, which I'm not going to get into detail with, honestly, since these are 2 entirely different games, I'm honestly going to say this one is horrible. Even though it was made on an NES. Compared to the other bosses in the game, really? It's putting 3 bombs in this whole thing's mouth, really? 10, the Dig Dogger. God, what are these names? Anyways, to be honest, this boss isn't particularly hard, it's just annoying to deal with. After using the Ocarina, the Dig Doggers are going to turn into 3 small versions of it. And god damn are these things fast. Like I said, the boss isn't hard, it's just annoying to try to hit all 3 of these multiple times without dying. Which sounds hard, but when you get the hang of it, it's just generally annoying to deal with, even if you know how to finish the boss and it's not hard. 9, the Gumball Refight. Yeah, towards the end of the game, it decides to make you refight a lot of older bosses. And the Dodongos are no exception. You'll fight 3 of these Dodongos multiple times throughout the game. You have to refight them in lots of dungeons. I don't even know why these aren't considered a regular enemy at this point. It's essentially the regular Dodongo fight, but there's 3 of them that only take 2 bombs each though. It's easy, but it's still not annoying like the Dig Dogger. But, you know, it's not good at all. 8, the Aqua Mantis. It's the boss of the first dungeon, and since you don't have the Hylian Shield, which can block the energy that this boss, along with lots of others, if not all of them, and there are a few enemies will shoot at you, you're kind of bound to have some trouble playing this. I mean, I had trouble. I don't know if you did. I doubt you played BS Zelda. But it's not hard when you get the hang of it, though. Especially when you have to refight this guy thousands of times in the game, even if you have the Hylian Shield. But the boss itself either will stand or move up and down, shooting fireballs at you. The easiest way to kill the boss is just to stay in the bottom, have the Mantis shoot the energy at you, then run up to the top and hit it with your sword. It's not a perfect boss, but I still consider it better than others along the line. It's just so simple. 7, the Patra. I like that name. That's the best name this game has. Anyways, this is kind of a fly. Yeah, a fly. Yeah, I don't understand the choice, but continuing with the fly boss, it has a lot of smaller ones going around itself, but I doubt I have footage of this, but there's these 2 spots where you can just stand still and easily hit your sword on the small flies around the Patra. You can just stand still and hit your sword. It's another boss that's honestly a joke, but I still enjoyed it more than other ones in the game. 6, the Manhandler. It's got 4 heads, which honestly look pretty similar to the piranhas in the Mario series, but I'm not going to talk about that. But for context of the boss itself, it's honestly really easy. You have to hit all of the heads multiple times, which sounds hard, but the energy that it shoots on its own is easy to avoid. But the boss does get faster after taking multiple hits, so there's that, but come on, dude. It's simple like a bunch of the other ones. 5, the Gumball Refight. This is bound to be a surprise to some of you since the Goma was my least favorite boss in the game. Well, this one's 2 Gomas. And you think that you're supposed to shoot one arrow at both spiders, right? Yeah, nah, no, absolutely not. This time you have to shoot multiple at them. And it sounds like a waste of arrows if you're somebody who is stingy with keeping arrows, unless if you're playing Wind Waker and have the biggest quiver. But I don't know, I feel like you have infinite arrows in this game. I don't know, but it seems like you do. Yeah, but, so like I said earlier, this time you have to shoot multiple at them. I don't remember it being a challenge, but since you have to shoot multiple more than just one arrow, I think it deserves this spot mostly. Not entirely, but mostly. 4. The Aqua Mantis Refight. I'm specifically talking about the one from the 7th dungeon. It starts out as a normal mantis fight, but then it turns blue. The blue version is immune to bombs. It can only be hit from the front and shoots slightly more energy. But, you know, the Hylian Shield exists, which blocks any energy entirely. So it's a joke. Entirely. 3. The Aqua Mantis Refight from Dungeon 8. There's no difference between this one and the one I just talked about besides it shooting energy faster, which, this is going to be the last time I say this, the Hylian Shield exists in its final red form. The red phase is immune to everything, besides, well, the sword, of course. But its energy is slower, but there is 5 energy spears coming at you, compared to the 3 from the blue phase. But come on, dude, it's the Aqua Mantis. Come on. 2. The Manhandler Refight. Okay, finally the last of refights. Now that I think about it, this game is very bland with bosses, but like, dude, there's so many dang refights. Yeah, what was I talking about again? But oh, yeah, the Manhandler refight. Okay, this refight did something that none of the others did. After you kill most of the Manhandler's heads, they regenerate if you don't kill it fast enough. Now, it is reasonable considering that wouldn't work with any other bosses besides the Dongos, but still. The fact that it moves insanely fast, which I didn't mention either, along with the boss regenerating its heads, makes for one of the most creative bosses the game has. And that's honestly saying a lot considering this game's bosses are not creative. 1. Ganon. First, before I say anything, I want to ask you this question. Did you expect for this boss to be at number 1, or did you not? Chances are you did, but whatever. So on to the boss itself. Ganon is invisible for basically the whole fight. The only way that you can hit Ganon is you're shooting your sword in multiple random directions. But you know, if you shoot your sword row by row, it's so easy. Like, it's easy in general even if you don't do that, but like shooting your sword row by row just makes it way easier. If you manage to hit Ganon with one of your swords, he'll appear for a second and disappear again. You have to do this multiple times until Ganon turns blue for a short amount of time. Then you have to shoot the silver arrow again, and then he's gone. There's 2 main things I don't like about this boss, though. The fact that it's extremely easy in the SNES version specifically, since I have no experience with the NES one. And 2, how Ganon dies with only 1 silver arrow. It's on its own not hard to kill Ganon when he's invisible, so having you shoot only 1 silver arrow to kill Ganon permanently is something I've never been a big fan of. And we can just take a moment to look at the location of the silver arrow. You have to move to a specific block in the 8th dungeon, and then go into the basement to get the arrow. It's in the first room in the dungeon, so you think people are going to expect to do something there? No, nobody. Sounds simple on rice paper, but if you go straight to the final boss without any knowledge that you have to get the silver arrow to kill Ganon, you're going to end up wasting your time, probably even dying a few times. But I mean, I forgot the room, but in one of the rooms, I think that old man that gives you the sword at the start of the game, I'm pretty sure he does tell you that you need the silver arrow. But depending on what dungeon that is and how early that is in the game, do you think you're going to remember that? Because I don't think you will. I did not. It's not bad, in fact. It's my number 1 favorite boss in the game, obviously. It's just not amazing, clearly. Even for a number 1 pick. Now, before I sign off, I want to mention how I didn't focus on the cons of these bosses. The final fight is the only one where I mentioned the bad things about it, and honestly, I had no reason to leave out the cons for the other bosses, so don't think that I'm intending on making this boss sound like I hated its guts. With that being said, peace.